VegeGa, VegeGa beds. I have 3 of them. I have had other beds from them before, and that's why I asked them to send me these. One of the things I like the most about these beds is that you can reconfigure them into different shapes and sizes. I did 3 narrow beds just because that was kind of the overall view I was going on for the garden, but if I was to do it again, I would put it in a long, wide rectangle. We planted a lot of lacinato kale in it, but our main crop was potatoes. In a thin bed, I will plant potatoes first, and it just kind of inoculates the soil. The roots of the potatoes make healthier soil. Other things we've planted in here have been strawberries. Currently, I have a bitter melon in this Grow It Now cone that's doing well. I've planted beans and I've planted flowers. Now, the things that have done best in here are things that have really fast-growing, intricate root systems. And the reason for that, again, is that this is a narrow bed. This bed, I'll have to go look at the numbers, but I think it's about 2 feet wide and 18 inches tall. So I'll show some of the footage over the course of the year. Today is September 19th. And we have been growing in this since March. I have 2 other types of beds that I have in this garden for you to go look at. And so I didn't do just one type of bed. I wanted to compare them all over the course of the summer. And I'm just about to start pulling certain things out and recomposting the bed. I like to add the vegetation that was in the bed into the top of the bed and let it break down over the year. Now, this is kale. It's not ready to have that happen. This will go until almost December and still be harvestable and get sweeter and sweeter. So I just need to make sure to keep watering it. If, as you have fall coming on, you stop watering your bed, it's not the bed's fault that the plants died, it's that they still need water. Other things that I have planted in the next 2 beds, I have oats as a cover crop in the middle bed and Hare vetch in the last bed as a cover crop in that bed. So these particular 3 beds won't receive compost this year. They're growing their own compost currently. I might add something to this bed once we have all the kale harvested. And these are baby kale. These are not full-size kale. I seeded these when I put in the potatoes as a cover crop, which means that as I pulled the potatoes out and made more room, these hadn't even germinated yet in some instances, or they were really small and kind of stunted. So the minute I got the potatoes out, these guys took off and now they're big and ready to eat. And so in these beds, I like to plant really, really thick and harvest every single day because these create a massive amount of food as long as you plant enough. One mistake that people make when they are putting in metal beds or any kind of raised bed is to plant thin. In these beds, you can add really good nutrition, and by planting really, really heavily, you harvest what comes up first, and that leaves room for the next layer of plants to really thrive. There are different zones whenever you plant something. You can have roots, and then intermediate, and then really tall, and harvest them all at will. It's just a good adventure. And one really great thing about these metal beds is you don't have a yellow jacket problem in these. If you've seen my hotbed videos that are made out of pallets, that's a really big problem that I have. They grow really, really well in the winter and they're really cost effective. But once you get into July and you start to have yellow jackets, there are nooks and crannies in a pallet that don't exist in these type of metal beds. The way that we watered these guys was by hand watering at the beginning on shower mode. But once we got further into the year and they needed more water, we turned on a rotating sprinkler. But with that, you have to let it run for several hours because these beds require deep, long watering every few days rather than everyday shallow watering. I like to put a drip system in my hotbeds because then in the summer I just turn on one pump, everything gets watered, and they only have to be watered for like 45 minutes. So they're really versatile that way. You can pick and choose what you like. If you like to spend time watering your beds, you totally can. I like to water my beds in the morning by hand because then I harvest at the same time. As I'm watering, I'm picking food. if your plants are in the germination stage, you have to kind of water every day or every other day. It's only once they've developed a really good root system that you can go longer periods. So go check out VegeGa if you like these beds. I think they're super fun, super cute, and I love that they can configure into other shapes. And this is my work garden, and because I like these beds so much, I am looking into buying some for my own garden. So we'll talk to you later. Can I get out of here? Can I get up? Oof. Oof. I don't want to step on you. There you go. It'll line it up so that it's easier to... Alright, so what we use our raised beds for is to hold compost from house waste. And then we plant into the top of those compost beds. So this is cardboard from the box itself. We're going to take the rest of the box apart and put it in the bed. And the other reason I'm putting cardboard in here on the bottom is because we have a real problem with bindweed in this area. Any kind of open bottom raised bed, the bindweed will get in. So by putting cardboard down on top of the plastic, because the plastic has some holes in it, we are helping keep bindweed out. I like that they didn't send very much plastic garbage. I can't really use plastic garbage very well. I like that they included mostly just cardboard in their packaging. Yeah. Doesn't really know what else to do. Yeah. Alright, so we've got the rabbit cage on top. The reason for that is in order to get really good inoculation of good bacteria on household waste, you need urine and you need manure. So if I were just to fill this full of sawdust or full of cardboard and then I was to put a little bit of soil on top, that bed would not do well. There isn't enough bacteria in there to break down the carbon. There's not enough nitrogen in there to break down the carbon. And if I were to fill this bed up with purchased potting soil, it would probably cost me, how much would it cost me? A couple $100. What I'm doing is I'm giving it good bacteria, I'm giving the rabbits a good place to be, and I'm taking all of my paper, cardboard, house waste that is biodegradable, goes into this, and it'll turn into compost and I'll be able to plant into it within a few months. If you have the money and you want to just fill it with potting soil, that's great, but this is the way that I do it. Do you want to show him the bunny? It'll be right here.
He might start scratching. This is one of Bitsy's babies.
Yeah, they're good babies.
Yeah, and this one is partly, I can feel the Rex in him, but he's a little bit of both.
I'm glad to have this project to do today because I needed a reason to come outside when the weather was kind of inclement. It's in the 50s today. Yesterday it was in the mid-70s, day before it was mid-70s, and then the day before that was in the 40s. So we're getting lots of up and down, and sometimes when the weather's like that, it's hard to keep positive vibes going. And I'm gonna see if I can get you some video of more babies before I go in. Here's a babies and their mamas. Hi, babies and mamas. What you doing? You're so cute. And this mama is due tomorrow. This is Palomino. There's Mama Heidi and her two babies. They're so big. Do it. Make sure to go check out VegeGa. And if you're into that, if you'd rather do this than use pallets or little swimming pools, then this is a little easier to put rabbits on top of. I can't do that with the swimming pools, and I can't do that with the low pallet raised beds.
This is green. You'll want to fill both of them. They'll eat them within the salad. And then
We give the baby rabbits hay, and then we give them organic wheat and sunflower seeds, and then we give them a few rabbit pellets, but not a whole lot. They don't really like them compared to the other stuff. Plus we cut things from them around the property to chew on. Okay, they're gonna need their water.